Yeah, what are we doing?
I have to get into my board meeting.
Do that. We'll have. Is Michael Coleman here? No. Oh, for the bathroom?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's 3451. I thought you were asking for the Wi-Fi password.
Good morning, this is Tony.
Good morning, Tony. We're hearing you, as they say in the comm center, 5 by 5.
Yes, thank you.
No one's ever explained to me in 35 years what that means.
So I think I'm good with my.
Oh, let's hold. We need to turn off your mic.
There you go. Okay, better?
Better. We haven't been doing this very long.
I know, it's still.
Every setup's different. We are 10:01.
Okay, we ready?
I am. Can't speak for anybody else.
Okay. I think we're ready. Okay, good morning, everyone. Can you hear me? Perfect. Well, good morning, and thank you everyone for joining us, those that are joining us here in the boardroom and those that are joining us via Zoom. Welcome to our Monterey Salinas Transit District Board of Directors meeting. Today is November 14th of 2022. So during today's meeting, the public has several options to participate. You can join in person here in the board conference room. And members of the public are required to wear a face covering and adhere to social distancing protocols. So thank you. You can also join the meeting via Zoom. The meeting ID is located on the agenda. And for today's meeting, it is 845-0083-6234. And the passcode is 652252. Another option to join us today is by telephone, and you can call 1-669-900-6833. Thank you. And at this time, I'd like to call the meeting to order at 10:02. Can we get roll call, please?
Okay, City of Carmel by the Sea,
Here.
Del Rio,
Here.
City of Gonzalez, City of Greenfield,
Here.
City of King,
Present.
City of Marina,
Here.
City of Monterey, absent, City of Pacific Grove,
Here.
City of Salinas,
Here.
City of Sand City, here, City of Seaside,
Here.
City of Soledad,
Here.
and County of Monterey. Absent. Okay, Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you. And I know that for the County of Monterey, we did get an email from Director Anejo that they would, he would not be here today. They're attending a board meeting, a conference as well as his alternate supervisor asked you.
And the City of Monterey alternate called in sick today.
Okay.
Not feeling well.
Good. Thank you. So if you can join us on the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'd like to ask Director Galdiali if he can lead us on the pledge today.
Crickets.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah. Okay, I will turn it over to Mr. Sidorik to give us a review of the highlights of the agenda for today.
Thank you, Chair. So starting off this meeting, in response to board direction received last month, we have a memo on page 7 that speaks to the now 3 different regulations that will be and laws that will be governing public board meetings starting in January. Then moving on to our consent agenda. Among other things, we have resolutions of appreciation for board members who will not be returning after this election cycle. We have an item to appoint a member of staff as an alternate to our insurance pool of a board that we sit on. We also have on consent a landscape maintenance agreement as well. Then under recognition, we have our staff report and a presentation on the Better Bus Network and its implementation on December 10th. And then moving on to closed session, from that point, we have the general manager CEO's performance evaluation and then conference with labor negotiators with regarding MSTEA and MST. So that concludes my review of the agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Sidorik, for the review of the agenda. So we'll move on to items 1-4, and that's review the memo from the general counsel regarding evolving California hybrid board meeting format and provide direction to staff. And I will turn this over to you as well. And this is on page 7 of our packets.
Right. So thank you, Chair. As I mentioned, you have a report from our attorneys, DeLay and Laredo. Michael Laredo is present. I'm not sure if Dave is on the call, but we do have the starting January 1, the traditional Brown Act, AB 361 for emergency meetings, and the new AB 2449 for limited specific scenario rules. With the governor's announcement that he intends to remove the state of emergency after February, or on February 28th, 2023, for all intents and purposes, AB 361, the emergency meeting rules will remain in effect until at that time, after the emergency rules and the emergency is lifted, we will be moving to AB 2449 and the traditional Brown Act and balancing those. The issue with AB 2449, there are specific types of absences that board members can request with different rules applied to each type of absence. And limited numbers of times an absence from an in-person meeting can be asked for, and staff will be tracking that. What staff proposes is that we work together between the board clerk, the secretary, and our council and the board chair to develop an SOP for the board members to bring back at another meeting for your review that will propose how the board will seek these types of specific absence through the new legislation. So that's our recommendation at this time, is for you to have the clerk, myself, the secretary, our council, and working together with you, board chair, figure out what the rules are going to be and then communicate them to the board and have a chance for them to weigh in on that SOP in advance of the February 28th sunsetting of the emergency regulation, assuming that it does sunset. We pray that it does, and that there's no reason for us to continue the emergency after February 28th.
Okay, thank you, Carl, for that. And I also want to say thank you for the summary that's on page 13. Gives us information and just kind of lays out the teleconference rules that were subject to under the Brown Act, and then also the AB 361 and AB 2449. Obviously, there's some overlap, but there is some differences. So I really want to appreciate staff for putting this together to make it a little bit easier for us to be able to navigate as we enter into 2021. So I'm going to open it up for any comments from our board of directors at this time. And if you can please raise your hand if you're joining us via Zoom, if you can please raise your hand so I can acknowledge you, and then we can unmute you. But let me start with those that are here in the chamber first. If there's any comments or questions, as our as Carl mentioned, we'll be looking at this to be able to bring something back before February. So we're looking at either our December or January meeting. So any of our directors that are here with us, any comments or questions? Okay, well, I'm going to take it out then to those that are joining us via Zoom. And I do see that Director LeVar has his hand up. So Director LeVar, can you unmute yourself?
Thank you, Chair. And I do appreciate the memo from council. It does highlight that the new Brown Act rule, it is very cumbersome. And it seems like the traditional Brown Act is what is going to be easiest to follow. But I'm looking forward to the procedures, the SOPs, and that discussion. But I was hoping there'd also be a discussion item on the board's decision regarding under emergency rules attendance. And I didn't see that within our packet unless I missed it. This board did take action requiring certain medical information be provided to the board. And I am assuming that is only under as the emergency order is in place. But clarification on that before February 28th would be absolutely crucial because the limitations under the new Brown Act rule, like I said, is cumbersome. It's very, very limited. So it basically means everybody needs to be in person. And the limitations on the amount of meetings you can miss and use Zoom as an alternative is also limited. So is anyone prepared to speak on that item now, or does that need to be brought up for a vote of recension? What would be the procedure for that would be my question. And thank you, Chair.
Yeah, thank you, Director LeVar. I know that was a discussion item that we had in terms of to bring it up now. I know we wanted to be able to present this, but because there is some changes, we wanted to make sure that we had a robust discussion with the directors about just some of the changes of rules and how that's going to affect us as directors, and then bringing that topic for discussion as well. But I will turn it over to Carl if there's any additional information on that. I think my preference would be to come back and make sure that that's included as part of the discussion with our SOPs.
So there was some discussion between myself and the chair about what I see as two separate items. One is the state law governing board meetings, which we're discussing today. The second separate item are those decisions that the board has made during COVID, policy decisions regarding our meetings and how those intertwine with one another. They range from everything from wearing masks in this room to board members asserting that they have vaccination to attend. I believe that we would want to handle those as two separate items. And as the I believe that we would want to take some action on that as long as we have reason to believe that by February 28th, the state of emergency is going to be lifted, that at some time, perhaps at no later than the February meetings, because it would be our March meeting would be the first meeting post lifting of the emergency standard. So no later than February, your board will need to make some policy decisions on which policies they want to maintain and which policies retain and which policies they'll want to get rid of. So staff is prepared to put that on the appropriate agenda, but we would ask that you make a decision before February 28th on how you want to handle these things in a post-emergency landscape.
Thank you, Carl. And I do appreciate that. February 28th is that crucial date. And I will let you know, and the fellow board members, I do have a concern that if we don't go back to regular order, how we've always operated on a when it was non-emergency, that would cause severe limitations in the ability to participate if certain of these rules stayed in effect. And I would prefer that that discussion happened in January in case there was an issue that came up, because the limitations on the new Brown Act rule are very, very specific on what you can claim to use Zoom for. And my interpretation is designed for emergencies only. And it would be unfair to put any board member in that position. So I'm looking forward to that discussion. And I do believe there are two separate issues, as you mentioned too. So thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Director Labar. So that's a point well taken. So we will make sure, and I do also agree that having that discussion coming January to give us an opportunity to have just a discussion on those two items, and being able to hopefully by that time ascertain or obtain more information from the state in regards to the emergency orders and what that means for us. And then moving forward with AB 2449 and how we're going to handle that. And also the board, as you said, the board decisions that were made during the time of COVID for us to come back and have that discussion.
If I may. So just from a historical perspective, we'll have a number of new board members perhaps coming on board in January. The January meeting is historically light on business, but this is absolutely appropriate, and I think staff can handle that. We usually reserve January as mostly as an update to the strategic plan and gives the board a chance to provide some input to see if we need to make any sort of tactical adjustments or adjustments to the strategic plan that we've adopted some time ago. Gosh, it'll be a year and a half ago. It seems like a lifetime, but we were doing that mid-COVID. We had a strategic plan. Since then, we've made a number of changes, and we'll reserve most of that meeting for that strategic plan update if that's what if the board desires that, but also have this discussion as well. So from a planning perspective for the January meeting, I think that's what we would look forward to. And as a message to my staff that are in the room, try to get your business stuff done, procurements and things done in December or in February, so that we can have this robust discussion at the board meeting in January.
Thank you, Carl, for that. And if there's any comments or questions, but I agree that in January we can come back and look at how we're going to handle those two items, and then also looking at the strategic plan, so that becomes a little bit lighter for us as directors and just really being able to focus on the next year as well. Okay, so let me move on to Director Burnett.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to give my little brief comments. The policies as it relates to in-person and the hybrid meetings we've developed over a number of meetings. And as the pandemic peaked and subsided and then peaked again, we've made several tweaks. I guess what I really want to do is just to urge some caution by all of the board members to carefully consider the rollback, the rescinding of these policies that put forward. I understand that, notwithstanding the direction of the governor's order, the return of normal order is going to be a little bumpy. And I just want to express my, concern that humans are creatures of habit, and we've developed a habit of functioning this way. And as we adopt these new habits and new policies, we are going to encounter some unanticipated consequences. So I just wanted to add my thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Burnett, for those comments. Very well, point very well taken. I know that it did, but some of the policies that we're discussing now as part of the separate item under number 2 that the board developed, obviously took us a long time to be able to get that correct, and different modifications that were made to that. So as you know, as we now try to go back to normal, we have to really be cautious of what that looks like. And I agree with you. We are creatures of habit. So it's making sure that we move forward in the best way possible to make sure that we're engaging our public and also our elected officials. Okay, any other comments from board members? Okay, I have not seen any. So thank you so much, everyone, for those comments. So
Okay, to the public.
we will take it out to the public now to make sure if there's any comments from our public. Are there any comments from our public on item 1-4? Okay, and I do see a hand up by Mr. Brian Carpending. I apologize if I said that incorrectly, but if you want to unmute yourself.
No, that was fine, actually. Almost like a relative. So my name is Brian Corpenning. I'm the Chief Diversity Officer at Cal State University in Monterey Bay. First of all, thank you for your work in ensuring that affordable public transportation is available to residents in this county. I'm here on behalf of CSUMB to express our concerns to you about the loss of service due to the suspension of Line 25 and the elimination of Line 16 under the Better Bus Network.
So, Mr.
We understand that the loss of service on Line 25, which serves as a direct route from CSUMB to Salinas, is not permanent, and we appreciate the work MST is doing to restore this service. We also understand this suspension is a result of an insufficient amount of drivers to operate all the routes in the
Mr.
system.
Carpending?
Yes.
Apologize. I'm gonna need to pause for a minute. So your item would be under the public.
Under-
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, under item 4.7. Right now, we're under item 1-4 in terms of.
Okay, I apologize for that.
Yeah, no problem. So we'll make sure that I have you noted down. So when we're under the public comments, I will make sure that I call.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. I'll mute myself again.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, any public comments on item 1-4? Okay, seeing none, then we will move on to our next item on our agenda. And at this time, our next item is our consent calendar. And today we have items 3-1 through 314. At this time, I'll ask any of the directors that wish to pull any of the consent calendar for discussion or comment. Okay, seeing none, then I will take it out to the public. If there is any members of the public that would like to pull an item from the consent calendar for further discussion or comment. Okay, seeing none, then I will entertain a motion to approve items 3-1 to 3-14.
So moved.
Motion to approve.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor. And we have a second. So we have a motion by Director Carbone, and who second by Director Emilio?
Second, yes.
Okay, roll call, please.
Okay, Director Barron,
Yes.
Director Gagliardi,
Aye.
Director Martinez,
Yes.
Director
Mike, you're on mute. There you go.
Aye.
Director Burnett,
Yes.
Director Emilio,
Yes.
Director Barrera,
Yes.
Carbone, Yes.
Director Pacheco,
Yes.
Director Velasquez.
Yes.
Okay, the motion passed.
Thank you. So we'll move on to our next item on the agenda, recognitions and special presentations. And today we have several of those. So we will begin with item 4-1, which is recognizing Director Albert's 5 years of service on MST. And is Director Albert with us?
I do not believe that he is. And his alternate was unable to make it. Officially, I don't know that he could be here, frankly, because he has, as of election day, due to the city charter, he no longer had a seat. So I don't believe he would have been eligible to be here today. He could have been here as a member of the public, but not as a board member.
Okay, well, we'll make sure that we provide the proper recognition for Director Albert for his 5 years of service on the MST board. And we did have a recognition for him, wanting to make sure that we do, that we're able to get that to him. And I just want to say thank you to Director Albert for all the work that he did as board chair as well. And, you know, really supporting public transit, and want to make sure that we recognize him for all of his service and all his commitment to public transit. We thank him for his service. We thank him for his leadership also on the board, and we wish him well. And so I'll open it up. So I'm going to go through each one of them, but I'll open it up for any of the directors that want to make any comments. I know this stays on the record, so it'd be appropriate to be able to make any comments at this time after each of the recognitions. So I'll open it up. I do see, let me open it up from members that are directors that are here in the chamber, and then I'll take it out to Zoom. So any of the members that are here, any of the directors joining us, want any comments? Director Carbo?
Yes. I would just like to give my gratitude and to Director Albert for his 5 years of service and for his leadership as well. He really did a great job, and as well as all the board members, but he really did a wonderful job, especially for his city. And with that, I'll move on to the next board.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other directors that are here? Okay, so I'll take it out to our directors that are joining us via Zoom. And I will start with Director Emilio, who has his.
Yeah, never could figure out these hands unless I'm on the city council. Anyway, I appreciate Dan Albert's, as mentioned before, the dedication and his continued leadership on MST and beyond that.
Thank you, Director Emilio. So I'll move on to Director Labar.
Thank you, Chair. I also want to express my appreciation, Director Albert. He represented his city very, very well. And he represented MST very well and just really appreciate his dedication to public transit and spreading the message of MST and our exemplary service we provide to our constituents. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Director Labar. Director Martinez.
Can you guys hear me? Yes. So I just want to go ahead, and also it's very unfortunate that Dan couldn't be with us in the room. And maybe as a side note, if Madam Chair, if we could have a gathering later on for our board members that will no longer be with us, including Dan. I think it's something that we all work as a team, and it's a must at the end of like a conclusion or a cycle that we come together and we just acknowledge each other's strengths, what we accomplish together and what we learn from other great leaders. And I just want to say that Dan is a great leader. When he began, I know him and I were in opposite ends, but I could honestly say now with an open heart that I have nothing but respect for Dan. He's such a great leader because of his integrity, the ability to delegate, the communication skills that he has, the self-awareness, the gratitude, the learning ability that he had, even as that position of power that he had, the influence that he had, not just with myself, but I know many of the other board members. So Dan, I hope that you could read these minutes, or you could probably hear later on, but you are an amazing leader, and thank you for your years of services, specifically here to MST. And I know that you will continue to do great things. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Director Martinez, for those comments, and we'll take that into consideration in terms of what can be done in terms of a gathering for those that are not able to join us. And I agree, I know obviously many that we're going to recognize today are not going to be part of the board, but have provided a lot of insights, dedication, and commitment to public transit and to the agency and to their respective cities. So thank you. Do I have Director Barnett? Did you have another comment? Your hand's still up.
Yeah, I just wanted to add my own congratulations and thanks to board member Dan Albert for his 5 years of service to MST, and also to his service to the city of Monterey. My short tenure on the board was helped immensely by Dan's leadership and professionalism. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Barnett. Thank you all for those comments. And I do want to just add a few comments in terms of Director Albert's leadership. He was chair when we were in the pandemic, and I know as was a discussion earlier about some of the policies that were implemented, and a lot of discussion and a lot of difference of opinion. But I know he got us through some of those really contentious meetings, making sure that everyone was respectful of other people's opinions, and really was able to do that very well. I really thank him for his leadership, and also obviously his mentorship as well for me has been really instrumental. Okay, so we'll move on we'll move on then to our next item on our agenda under the recognitions, which is Director David Burnett being recognized for his 2 years of service on the MST board. Director Burnett, thank you so much as well for your 2-year commitment to the board, also for your leadership and dedication to public transit and representing your city as well, with some of the changes that are occurring. And there's a lot of positive changes in terms of just reimagining transit and the better bus network. And thank you for your leadership as well, and for your commitment to public transit. So at this time, I will open it up to board members that are in the chambers. If there's any comments. Okay, I will take it out to board members that are joining us via Zoom, and Director LeBar.
Thank you, Chair. David, I've really appreciated working with you. One thing I really was impressed and just glad to be a partner. You've had great comments. I've really enjoyed your perspective on these issues. And I wish you could be here longer, because I can tell you are an amazing advocate for public transit. And we need more of those so desperately. So I'm sorry to see you go. I wish I could have saw you in person, but maybe there will be an opportunity in the future. But all good luck to you and wherever you're going. And thank you again. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Director LeBar. Director Martinez.
Yes, Director Burnett, we didn't get a chance to spend a lot of time because of COVID. COVID separated a lot of us, but I want to echo everything that Mayor LeBar just mentioned. Your commitment to MST, your passion, always asking questions, but doing it in a civil manner where your heart was with your city. And I know that Marina is going to be losing a great leader by not having you in that council, but I know that you will do great things, because I've seen the questions you make and the passion that you have, and you will continue to do that, whether you are on a board or not. But thank you for your service, and I wish that we would be able to keep you longer, but continue to visit us, continue to meet with us one-on-one, because we all could learn so many things from you, and it was great to have you in this board with us. And thank you.
Thank you, Director Martinez, for those comments. We appreciate that. And Director Burnett, likewise, all those sentiments, I just want to echo again. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for being an advocate for the city of Marina as well, and for all of your perspectives and your comments during the past 2 years. And as was said, unfortunately, you know, we didn't get to really sit here as a board together. But we wish you well in your future endeavors, and you're always welcome to come and join us in the chambers. Okay, so we'll move on to our next item of recognition today, and this is Director Gagliotti for his 2 years of service. Yes, I finally got that right. To the MST board. Thank you so much for your leadership and your commitment as well, and for your thoughtful comments as well during the pandemic. As I said, obviously, you know, there was a lot of different sentiments, and thank you for expressing your thoughts and your concerns for your city and also for public transit. So your valuable insights are very much appreciated, and we wish you well in your future endeavors.
Thank you.
And so I will open it up. Any comments from any of the board of directors that are joining us here in the chambers?
Yes, I'll give a little late comment for Director Burnett. Director, it was a pleasure serving with you, and firstly, before I move on here, I kind of missed you there. So it was good working with you, and I know you'll do a great job, and you'll be continued to be working in your community, I'm sure. And then for Director Gagliani, it's been a pleasure working with you on the board, MST board, and throughout the community. And I hope to see you involved as well, that you stay involved.
Oh, I will. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And you know, I apologize. I didn't allow the directors to say a few comments. So let me start with Director Gagliotti, if there's any comments that you wish to say.
Oh, well, I really enjoyed the last 4 years of being an elected official. And I really, truly, I mean, I've made some great friends with some of the electeds, and you, Marianne, are definitely we've been in some tangles, not together, fighting for what we believe, and it's been a wonderful experience for public service. You know, you always hear that if you're elected saying, "Oh, it's about public service," but it becomes when you live it and you do it. It is it's true. You do feel good about what you're doing, and so that's been great. I had no idea that I was ever going to be on the transportation board, because as most of you know, water is kind of my thing, and so that's where I feel as my expertise. But I have been using this bus since I was probably in 6th grade, is when I had my first bus pass. And so to be a member on this and actually be, to give back has also been very rewarding. And then I also think that I had no idea the team that's in place here. I mean, Carl, you are a phenomenal general manager. And I think that your tenure recognizes it recognizes that, and that you have been here as long as you have been, and where this system has gone from when I was 6 years old to now, or 6th grade to now, is great, and it's only going to get better. So again, I feel very fortunate to have been on here for the short period of time. I learned a lot, and thank you for the recognition.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And we also thank you for your representation on MST, and thank you for the service also to the city of Del Rio.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And for the other board members, we did present John with a resolution, and we will, the board members who aren't here will receive their own resolution as well.
Yes, thank you. So let me take it out to our directors that are joining us via Zoom, and I'll start with with Director Martinez, and then with Director Labar.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for that, Doctor. I wish. preach to the choir. Maybe I could become a doctor. No, all jokes aside, Director Glaviati, I'm so sorry if I'm not pronouncing your last name correct. Now you know how I feel when they can't pronounce Yaneli correct. But I really want to just emphasize the fact that you came on board again, just like with Director Burnett. We didn't get a chance to spend a lot of like actual time in person because of COVID. COVID took a lot away from us. But just seeing you on screen, the dynamic that you brought, you remind me so much of Director Jeff when he came on board from Carmel, that passion, that constant, questioning, which is amazing. You really put Delray Oaks on the map by all the amazing work that you did. And more than anything, as a writer myself, I really want to go ahead and applaud that you were able to bring that ridership perspective to the board that is needed. I think especially serving on a transportation agency is a must. So thank you for that. Continue doing great work, and I hope to see you out there, because now hearing that you are a champion of our water and me with water issues as well and fighting for pesticide reform, I think that we have a lot in common, and hopefully we could meet outside our MST board. And again, Madam Chair, hopefully we could honor these 3 wonderful men by having a get together, even if it's a dinner just on us. But I think we owe it to each other after COVID has taken time of quality time as a board. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Martinez. Director Labar?
Thank you, Chair. John, just this, as with Dan and David, it has been a pleasure working with you. And I got to say, for all of you, one of the things I've loved about this board is that we've all focused on what's important for the constituents that we represent. I've seen other boards go off topic and out of subject where it's non-productive, but all of you and yourself have brought unique experience, unique perspectives that have made our board and our agency better. And for that, I am just grateful to serve with you, and I appreciated that time with you. And same with you, David, and I'll hopefully be able to say to Dan at some point, but you guys on the peninsula do a hell of a job. So you really make us South County folks, you raised the bar up, but sorry to see you go. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, thank you, Director Labar, for those comments. Okay, so there's no further comments. Again, thank you so much to all of our 3 board of directors that we're recognizing today for just their leadership and their commitment to public transit. So we'll move on to another recognition that's really appropriate at this time as well. And just given the fact that public transit has been around for many years, and we want to make sure that we pause for a bit and acknowledge the 50th anniversary of MST. I know that we've been doing it for the past month, but we do have recognition from our state legislators in regards to the 50th anniversary. So today with us, we have Marissa Hernandez from State Senator Ana Caballero's office, who's going to be able to present our team with a special recognition.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, board members. As it was mentioned, my name is Marisa Hernandez, and I am a field representative for Senator Ana Caballero. And today it is my honor to present this resolution on behalf of Senator Caballero to MST for their 50th anniversary of distinguished public transit service and immeasurable contributions to advancements our communities throughout Monterey County. Senator Caballero has always been an advocate and champion of public transit. In 2002, while she was the mayor for the city of Salinas, she cheered as MST extended its services to the Salinas Valley communities of Chular, Gonzales, Soledad, Greenfield, and King City. And in 2010, she sponsored Assembly Bill 644, creating the Monterey Salinas Transit District, providing our 4 South County cities, as well as San City, a seat on the MST Board of Directors. And through great leadership from the MST Board of Directors, the lack of access to meaningful mobility options that has stifled the ability of persons with low income, the disabled, the elderly, and veterans from fully participating in our society has decreased. So thank you for your leadership. And since 1972, the Monterey Salinas Transit District and its predecessor organizations have provided more than 176 million passenger trips, enabling our residents and visitors to go shopping, be able to go to school, to medical appointments, voting locations, or wherever else life has taken them. So resolved by Senator Ana Caballero and John Laird and Assembly members Robert Rivas and Mark Stone, that the Monterey Salinas Transit District be congratulated on the celebration of its 50th anniversary, commended for the vital role it has played in providing the quality of life in our local communities and throughout the state, and extend best wishes for continued success in the future. So on behalf of Senator Caballero, thank you for allowing me some time to present the resolution.
Thank you, Marissa.
Can we take a photo of that?
And we're gonna pause for you to take a photo, but just congratulations to the amazing work that our MST staff has done throughout the years. And I know we're doing 50th recognition, but obviously it's been more than that, correct?
Well, it's 50 years of public transit,
Of
but we
public
have
transit.
150 years
Yeah.
of history with transit. But 50 years
The public.
with the cities forming a JPA and taking it on away from the public sector who left the field in 1972.
Yes, and we recognize all the cities for their work as well and their commitment to public transit. So thank you. We're gonna pause for a few minutes and take a
And the
photo.
foresight I appreciate of creating only one transit district within this county, unlike my previous county, LA County, that has 22 separate transit operators in their county. So I
We're
think
gonna be right there, Michael.
this is our photo spot. There we go. Thank you. Here we go. Thank you. Like we face the camera, and if we promise to hold our breath real quick, can we take our masks off and smile? All right. Here we go.
And see you three. There you go. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. Okay. And I'd like to thank Chair Velasquez for helping light a fire under me to get that process going.
Thank you.
Sometimes we get
Distracted.
by life, and that wasn't something I had ready for our October meeting, but we got it done now. And thank you so much for
You're welcome.
that push.
You're welcome. My honor to be able to do that on behalf of Senator Caballero and our in partnership with our other legislators. So thank you. Okay, we'll move on to our next item on our agenda, which is item 4-6. Receive a staff report on activities related to the COVID-19 pandemic, incident response and recovery. Oh, sorry, let me go back. 4-5, November 2022, Employee of the Month, Courtney Knapp, and I will turn this over to Mr. Tuvuki.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, Board Chair, board members, and the public. Appreciate the opportunity to be here before you. To my left is Courtney Neff, our Operations Superintendent. It's a pleasure to announce that MST has selected her as the Employee of the Month for November 2022. For almost 20 years, Courtney has served MST's customers, our employees, our communities with courtesy and respect. And over the last 20 years, she has collected 42 job-related awards, recognitions, and accomplishments. Her excellent performance as an MST employee resulted in several promotions. As I mentioned earlier, she started as a coach operator, and since then she's promoted to dispatcher, operations supervisor, senior operations supervisor, and finally in her current role, a lateral promotion to operations superintendent, where she currently reports directly to our transportation manager, Marzette, and she's responsible for managing MST's frontline operations supervisors. Courtney's promotion and her performance have been a positive highlight for the MST's operations department. Courtney worked diligently at the start of the pandemic and continues working throughout MST's recovery efforts to ensure that our employees and our customers are safe, that they're secure, and they receive the best care possible. She remains a positive beacon to all of our employees. Courtney is a product of our local community. She has raised children, and she has children that grew up here. She's well known and well liked by our employees and all of our community members. She serves as a positive example, both internally and externally to our customers and our stakeholders. I'm pleased to recognize Courtney as the Employee of the Month for November 2022. Please join me in congratulating her.
Courtney, would you like to say a few words?
I'll just say thank you. Born and raised here on the Monterey Peninsula. It brings me joy to give back to not just the peninsula, but to the whole county. And that's the real reward. So thank you.
Great.
Thank you, Courtney.
I would just say, Courtney is, I would call, if there were a People's Choice Award here, Courtney would have received it because from our drivers and our staff, I happened to just by chance be in our Salinas division the day that her Employee of the Month award was announced. And I happened to just be there to go talk to drivers and mechanics like I sometimes do. And it was all a buzz that Courtney won the Employee of the Month. And it was a steady stream throughout the several hours I was there, people coming in to your office to wish Courtney well. And then even after you left, they still kept coming to wish you well. So an extremely popular member of our supervisory and frontline management team here. So Courtney, I'd like you've already got your check. We have your Employee of the Month pen, and we also have your Employee of the Month plaque and resolution. And I want to thank you.
Thank you.
And if you want to greet the board we actually have some board members here. You
Yes,
can give them a fist bump or shake their hands, whatever you feel comfortable with.
yes, thank
What
you.
they feel.
Whatever they feel comfortable with.
We'll give it
We'll do
a-
that? We're still not there yet. We're not there yet. Okay, all right.
No.
So
No, but
if you
thank
want to
you.
come up, Chair, for a photo. One more. For our social media, otherwise it didn't happen.
Marianne.
We don't see it on our social media feeds.
Thank you.
There we go. We'll do it this way. That's all right.
Ready, guys?
Yep.
Okay. 1, 2, there you go. Thank you. Okay.
Driving down Ontario.
Yeah, thank you so much for that recognition. And again, congratulations, Courtney, for all of your 20 years of service and all your leadership and commitment to public transit and to MST. So we really appreciate all of your service and your dedication. Okay, well, let me open it up to any board of directors. I'd like to make any comments or any congratulatory comments to Mrs. Courtney Knapp.
Mike Labar has his hand raised.
Okay, Director Labar.
Thank you, Chair. And I just want to congratulate you, Courtney. One of the things I've always found amazing about MST is the employees and staff. They work so hard for our community, and they work for an agency. They've made our agency one of the best performing agencies in this nation, even though we're considered a small one. It has just been a pleasure to work with such great people. So thank you for what you do. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Director Labar. Okay, so we'll move on to our next item on the agenda, which is now item 4-6. Now, this is receive report on the activities related to the COVID-19 pandemic, incident response and recovery planning to date. And I will turn it over to Carl, and everybody should have received this PowerPoint presentation as well.
Thank you. I can't tell you how many versions of this we've been through. I'm gonna be ran out of fingers and toes and ears and nose to count on. So here we are with our update for November with results through September and some results through October. This will be a brief report. Next slide. We continue to be in a low transmission rate. We have paused at positive cases at MST 98 and MV life to date through the pandemic 22. We haven't had any new cases logged since August 29th. And in any of these cases, all this time, we've not made contact with, there's no proof through our video and other surveillance that any contact has been made with MST passengers or traced directly back to the MST work environment. Currently, 100% of MST and MV are in compliance with your board's vaccination mandate. To date, we have given out over 800 free day passes for people showing proof of vaccination, proof of the most current vaccination, and we've given out over 260 free vaccinations for MST rides trips. As discussed earlier in the meeting, the governor is announcing he intends to end the emergency proclamation for the state February 28th. We hope that's the case and that there's no reason to extend that. Cal OSHA is in the process of promulgating. I should make sure I can pronounce the word before I use it in a presentation. A non-emergency workplace COVID rule. So that is, we are monitoring that, but that gives you a sense that the state is kind of moving on past the emergency. Our Better Bus Network, which is really the capstone of your board's COVID response plan, will be implemented December 10th, 2022. This process started in the middle of COVID as a response to how are we going to change our services to better serve those in need of transit with the limited resources that we still have. Next slide. So as you can see, our ridership since COVID, you see that steep drop starting in March of 2020, and these are our monthly statistics. You see us rise and then fall with the Delta variant, rise and then fall with the Omicron variant, and we're rising till we were 80% of our, in September, our ridership was, we had a week where we were 80% of pre-COVID, the weeks pre-COVID. Now, to be fair and a disclaimer here, comparing September to March isn't necessarily a fair comparison because we have very seasonal ridership here. September is one of our highest ridership months. March is not. So when we actually look at our ridership comparisons on looking at a 3-year average prior to COVID, next slide, you'll see that we're still, half our ridership of where we were if you look at the 3-year average prior to COVID. Most of that, again, to be fair, is that in those 3 years prior to COVID, we were running service on board on the campus of the Defense Language Institute. And we were generating a lot of trips on that campus. That service was suspended by the Presidio during COVID, and they chose not to reinstate that service post-COVID. So, but they were rides nonetheless, so we're counting them and we're comparing them because at some point, whether fair or not, we were at a level that we're not at now. Whether we ever get back to that remains to be seen, but we're putting in the Better Bus Network and our van pool programs and other programs to try to recapture that. Next slide. So of ongoing concern has been our cash position as we finished up all of the various federal relief programs. We received a report in our ops committee, our administrative performance committee this meeting, a federal legislative update, and confirmed that we can expect no new COVID relief funds coming in, although there will be asks for it, both at the state and federal level. The likelihood of us seeing any new money coming in the short term it's unlikely, but that doesn't stop us from asking. The unopened mouth goes unfed, as we say. So we'll keep asking. But we are starting to draw down those reserves. You can see that cash flow starting to trend down, but we have several years of landing path here, glide path, before we have to be concerned about a cash flow issue. Next slide. There we are. Told you to be brief.
Thank you so much, Carl, for that report. So what I'll do right now is let me make sure if there's any comments or questions from any of the directors first, and then I'll take it out to the public if there's any comments or questions from our public. So any questions or comments from the directors that we have here in the board chamber? Okay, I'll take it out to directors that are joining us via Zoom. Okay, seeing none, then any questions or comments from from our public?
Yes,
Okay, so Christopher Wilmot?
yes. I only have like two questions. And this is regard of the better bus network.
We'll come after the presentation.
So
Oh,
Christopher,
that's not it. That's not it.
your questions on those for the Better Bus Network, because that's gonna come after the presentation.
Oops, sorry, sorry,
Okay,
sorry.
okay. Okay, so seeing no other public comments, then thank you, Carl, for keeping us updated on that. And I know we have to 2024 for expenditures of the funds which have been expended already, correct?
We've spent
So
all of our,
spent all of our funds.
so we're living on the reserves right now.
Yeah. And so we are looking toward the Better Bus Network, and really, for me, I just want to say thank you to all the staff. I know last 2 years obviously have been really difficult and challenging, but that gave us an opportunity as MST to really look at transit in a different manner, really looking at it through the lens of equity and looking at the ridership and making sure that a public transit is indeed, you know, the lifeline of many of our residents that are looking to go to jobs, to education and to medical services. So really looking forward to that implementation in December.
So we have a presentation coming up. You'll hear all about that.
So thank you. So we'll move on to our next item on our agenda, and let me find my agenda here.
Right here.
Okay, so now we are going to receive
There we go.
receive the Better Bus Network implementation update, and I will turn this over to Mrs. Michelle Overmeyer.
Good morning, board members. Michelle Overmeyer, Director of Planning and Innovation. So once upon a time, in the year 2020, a quaint little bus system was in the midst of a pandemic. The worker bees developed a COVID recovery plan that included many strategies for bringing all the village people back to ride the bus. That plan was adopted by your board exactly 9 months ago today. And while this hasn't been the fairy tale that one might dream of, it was an opportunity for us to reconnect with the community, revisit our values, and design a network so we can move forward. And we're ready. So we're ready to do the implementation. And then just as a refresher here, our community values transit that serves a lot of people, targeting those with the greatest need while serving the Peninsula, Salinas, and Southern Monterey County. I'm going to walk you through what the Better Bus Network is all about. First, what it is not, we are not eliminating the rides program. Customers who have a disability that prevents them from using MST's fixed route services will still have access to rides. This is a federal requirement that is not going away. Okay, this is a little difficult to see, so you can go to the website mst.org/bbn for more detailed and the ability to zoom in on this. The Better Bus Network is a series of changes to our fixed route services. The new system map is shown here on the screen. The legend in the top left describes the level of service. Corridors that are shown here in red indicate that riders can expect a bus every 15 minutes. Buses will come about every 30 minutes on corridors shown in blue. The teal color indicates a bus is coming every 60 minutes. And then the brownish color reflects frequency of service that's slower than that. So the bus will come every 2 hours or more. The table on the right on the screen here is a high-level summary of the frequency by line. Our core service is going to be 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. with some service as late as 10 p.m. on weekdays. More limited service will be operated on the weekends. And the choice to have higher weekday frequencies was vetted through our public planning process over the last 2 years. Under the Better Bus Network, the schedules and timetables will be more consistent for our riders. And that is that you'll know the bus is coming every X number of minutes rather than some situations we have now. Well, line X has 3 trips in the morning, about every 70 minutes apart. And then in the afternoon, you might catch line X in the opposite direction, but it's coming every 90 minutes. So this is going to be more consistent and reliable and user-friendly. Okay, so this slide here depicts our regional network. And you can see that MST will still be providing connections into Santa Cruz County and San Luis Obispo County. And there are a couple things I want to note for you about the new system. The general public on-call is a service that we operate in Marina and the 4 South County cities. Marina general public on-call will be going away. The King City general public on-call will be replaced by a new fixed route called Line 34. The general public on-call services are currently open to any member of the public, regardless of disability status. These are inefficient and costly ways to move the general public. We're working on converting the remaining 3 general public on-call services to fixed route. So next year, Gonzales, Soledad, and Greenfield should have their systems replaced. But again, this is different than rides. Rides is not going away. I also want to highlight some differences from the plan that your board adopted in February compared to what's going to happen in December. This might sound like a broken record, but MST doesn't have enough drivers to provide the level of service that our community wants. At the beginning of the pandemic, we had 140 coach operators, and we currently have 119. So we don't have the staffing resources that we'd like to have, which means that we had to make some adjustments. So the plan that we put together had 3 scenarios, a low, a medium, and a high. The medium is what we're targeting. The low is a contingency for when we don't have enough staff or enough revenue. So we're mostly implementing the medium, but there are a couple areas where we did have to adjust and take features of the low plan. So lines 44 and 46 in Salinas should operate every 30 minutes. These serve Baranda, Natividad Hospital, and the Salinas Adult School. However, we've scaled those back to every 60 minutes to better match the staffing level. Lines 25 and 47 are being suspended until we hire more drivers. Line 25 is the direct connection from Salinas to Cal State Monterey Bay. And line 47 is the direct connection between the 2 Hartnell campuses in Salinas. Both lines 25 and 47 have historically been on the lower side of productivity, which is why they were chosen for temporary suspension. So the Better Bus Network is designed to save you time. We have coordinated bus schedules that ensure that buses meet at the major transit centers. So people who have to transfer can do that quickly. Salinas Transit Center and Monterey Transit Plaza have long been major transit hubs. New in the Better Bus Network, we do have a timed transfer happening down at the Carmel Rancho Shopping Center for those riders that are coming and going to Carmel Valley. That line 24 is no longer going to extend all the way into Monterey. The passengers would transfer down there at Carmel Rancho. So the Better Bus Network is generally designed to save you on time. In some cases, there won't be much of a difference, but in other cases, the time savings can be remarkable. There's in this example here, which is King City up to Natividad Hospital. And so now I'm going to give you a live demonstration of the tool that we have on our website. So from MST's homepage, you see that the Better Bus Network is front and center. You can click on this to access more information. If you scroll down, you can see what's changing. These are the maps that I was just discussing. And then we have a trip planning tool that our consultant prepared for us. So between now and December 10th, our riders can compare the current MST system to what is going to be operating under the Better Bus Network. So I'm going to do a couple examples for you. First one I'm going to look at is maybe a rider lives in Marina and they work on Cannery Row. So we'll say that they're starting at the Marina Transit Exchange. Shows up as Marina Transit. And they're going to Cannery Row Inn. Okay, we want to arrive by 7:30 a.m. Start our work shift. And we're on a weekday. And then you hit compare trips. And then this over here will show you the current system we're operating is in gray, and then the Better Bus Network is in blue. So under our current system, it takes somebody about 52 minutes to do that trip, and they'll be saving about 10 minutes under the Better Bus Network. I'll do one more example here. In this case, somebody just finished up an appointment at the One Stop Career Center in Salinas on LaGuardia Street. And now they need to get to Natividad. And we'll say that their appointment ended at 2:30 p.m. Okay. So this is telling me there's no options right now, and that's true. We don't currently serve that portion of Salinas. We heard this during the plan process. This is something that the public had commented about. So under the new system, they'll be able to make that trip in about 56 minutes. So I'm just going to do those two examples now. Feel free to play with it. This is on MST's website. And for our passengers to check out. Earlier this year, your board approved a fare change. All of our routes will now be priced the same, $2, and passengers can ride for 2 hours. If a passenger needs to transfer, then they just request a ticket transfer when they board their first bus. And then they can ride anywhere in the system for 2 hours. We do have a 50% discount that will continue to apply, and that discount is given to riders 18 years and under, 65 years and older, individuals with disabilities, Medicare card holders, veterans, their spouse or caregiver, and MST Rides paratransit eligibility card holders. And then one exciting feature of the Better Bus Network is the first week. We're going to leverage our state cap and trade grant money to offer free fares to everybody in the county for the first week. And this is to reduce a little bit of the stress that people might be feeling with these changes as they get used to it. And then it's also an opportunity to invite some others to give MST a try. We're doing our part to save our planet by providing more people with access to jobs, education, and healthcare near transit. I hope you've started hearing about this before this morning. Our powerhouse marketing team has been busy getting the word out with a major public campaign that started last week. So in addition to the usual approaches we take for service changes, we've taken some extra steps. They're outlined here on the slide. You'll start to notice advertisements on the exterior of the buses. We have A-frames at major transit centers and the high ridership locations in South County. Our customer service and mobility staff will be out in the public, in the field, helping people navigate the new system beginning December 10th and answering any questions that riders might have. We've taken a pretty comprehensive approach to getting the word out, but I'd like to encourage you all to spread the word with your constituents. Post to your social media accounts, share the update at your city council meetings, and get out and ride the bus. And I'm happy to join you if you're interested. And then I just want to highlight here our team. There's no department at MST that has quietly avoided the Better Bus Network. It really is an all hands on deck project. Every department has been involved. My Rockstar team in the planning department took the 50,000-foot level plan and developed actual routes and schedules. So thank you to Dave Bilsker, Danny Bruno, and Emma Patel. Our facility staff has a work order that is over 100 pages long. So they have to update all the bus stops in our system. Our HR team is training all the drivers on the new process for the fare transfers and the new bus routing. Our marketing team is getting the word out, like I mentioned. Our maintenance will ensure that the fleet is ready to go. And then our incredible IT staff has been updating the electronic and audible announcements so that we can continue to meet ADA requirements. Our accounting team is tracking all of this to ensure that we get reimbursements for the grants. So I just want to say thank you to the staff who've worked very hard over the last several months. So this is a QR code. You'll see this on a lot of advertisements. The change is coming up in less than a month, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Thank you, Michelle, for that opportunity for us to see what has been happening with the Better Bus, for being able to really understand some of the major changes that are happening with our community and being able to make sure that the communications that we are providing accurate information to our public and it's not. So appreciate that. And I just want to say thank you to MST staff and also thank you to this board, because we've been working on this for the past 2 years. So to see it finally coming to fruition, and obviously there was a lot of robust discussion on service levels and what we're doing now and how we really can accommodate to reimagine a better bus network that really serves our families and our communities. And so I'm really excited about this. Obviously, we're probably going to have some bumps in the road. But I think at the end, and some of the language that conversations that we've experienced, especially at the national level, has been looking at public transit in a different manner and really looking at public transit through that equity lens and making sure that it is serving our residents to be able to be that lifeline. Obviously, it's always, important for us to be able to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions, but it's also important to be able to get people to work, get people to their appointments, to keep them healthy, and get people to the education facilities that they need. So I'm really excited. I want to say thank you on behalf of the board of directors. It's been a long journey, and I'm glad that it's coming to fruition. I just have a really quick comment before I take it out to the public and then bring it back to the board of directors, since I know there was some comments already from the public. But in terms of the social media, I would request and urge that each of our cities really promote this on our websites and our social media platforms. And if we can get some language, Michelle, from you or some, just some of the social media icons that are being used, and make it easier for the cities to be able to replicate some of that, because I think it's important being a partner in this. Each of our cities, I think it's critical that we also reach out and make sure that we're equally promoting and providing that information to our residents. So with that, I will take it out to the public, since there was a comment. And Mr. Christopher Wilmot, I think you had a comment on this item. If you're still here with us, can you unmute?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, perfect. And just to let you know, we do have a 3-minute timeline on public comments.
Thank you so much. Yes. I dabbled a little bit in the, the schedule, the thing on the website. And I see a couple things that pop up that are good, but also not so good. Like for instance, like trying to get from Salinas to Carmel early in the morning where people work, where the jobs are, it's not there. Does that make sense? Because I actually know most of the people who are taking the bus in the morning, and then there was a traffic issue here today, both on Lighthouse and coming into Monterey at the exact same time when the first bus leaves. Did anyone account for traffic? Because the people who are taking the bus early in the morning are the ones who are trying to get away from the traffic. Because that's where A, accidents happen, B, issues happen, and C, lates and non-transfer. And you can't transfer because you missed the bus. That's what I'm saying. And I'm sorry for being critical, but it's one thing that needs to be addressed is the traffic out here. And that's why I'm for the bus surfway, the BRT on its own lane, which is an important thing. I'm for that. But it's also called, you need to be able to make that transfer. And that's where I'm seeing that's not where it's not kind of going to work, because you have to remember more people are going to be westward taking their cars, which I'm kind of against, but I have no problem against private ownership. But it's also called people have lost the ability to drive after COVID. and I kind of see it kind of becoming an issue because I've been on the bus. I take the ones in the morning just to get here to school at NPC. And it's important to basically keep most of these buses, like, that are like just starting, just add on to it, like within the years that are to come. And that would actually work. Because I already heard like, I'm gonna just say one thing, a dozen complaints at that one over there, for the NPC bus stop.
Yeah.
Can we try to figure out how to get the A and the B to come up here? Because wouldn't that work out too, out of curiosity?
So, Mr. Woolman, thank you for those comments. I know that we have our staff here in the chambers who are taking note of that, and we'll be able to respond to that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And that's all I have to say. And I actually do agree with the person who's going to be on the CSUMB side of things, because there's a lot of student housing out there, and then people will be forced to take their cars or walk or bike, which I have no problem with.
Mr. Woolman,
but it's also, yeah.
Mr. Woolman, thank you. I know that we do have a 3-minute timer. I apologize. I know we're going to make sure that we have that.
Hey, no problem. And I just wanted to say things. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that. And those comments are well, points well taken. Thank you. And then I'll move on to our next, I see the next hand raised is, let me now open it up to Mr. Brian Carpeny.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As I said earlier, my name is Brian Corpenning. I'm the Chief Diversity Officer at Cal State University Monterey Bay. So I'm here on behalf of Cal State Monterey Bay to express our concerns to you about the loss of service due to suspension of Line 25 and the elimination of Line 16 under the Better Bus Network. We understand that the loss of service on Line 25, which serves as a direct route from CSUMB to Salinas, is not permanent, and we appreciate the work that MST is doing to eventually restore the service. We also understand that this suspension is a result of an insufficient amount of drivers to operate all the routes in the system, as was explained in the presentation. Line 25 serves as a vital resources for our students. And it's convenient and efficient transportation to the largest city in the region. As a Hispanic serving institution, CSUMB seeks to provide every opportunity it can to our students, many of whom are low income and first generation. However, this cannot happen without adequate, cost-effective, and efficient public transit. Without Line 25, travel time between Salinas to CSUMB will be over an hour. This is over a half an hour more than it currently is being provided by Line 25. We are very concerned with the impact of an extended travel time can have on student retention and student dreams and aspirations. So we look forward to continuing to working with MST to improving ridership and continuing our mission to ensuring students can access their classes and graduate and impact our region. The longer the service is suspended, the greater the impact, and CSUB wants to ensure that we can resolve the suspended service by the beginning of the spring semester, hopefully in January, so we can serve those students who rely on MST to get to our campus. So thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you for your comments, Mr. Koenig, and thank you. I know there's been discussions with our team already in terms of some of the comments that you've raised. So we hope to, obviously, our purpose for the changes is to be able to provide those services specifically, obviously, to our students to get to where they need to be. Thank you for your work too as a Chief Diversity Officer for CSUMB.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Take care.
Okay, we'll move on to our next comment, or our next person is Tate Bob. Tate, would you like to unmute yourself?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, I'm gonna try to make this quick as possible regarding 3 minutes. Regarding the Better Bus Network, I just want to say that it is perfect, and I was about to ask why the circular bus routes are not yet replaced in Gonzales or Soledad or Greenfield, but it doesn't matter anymore because I think I already got the answer to the question at the meeting, and which is probably not going to be happening until next year. I also want to add that regarding line 23, there is one city that I've never mentioned to any of you guys before, which is Chualar, and I should have. And I think if I had mentioned it to you before, then maybe more bus drivers would have been hired. But the only reason I know why Chualar is not going to have a circular bus route is because Chualar has only one bus stop. So I don't want to make a big deal out of it, which is really good because I never thought line 23 would continue providing service in Chualar because it was never shown the comprehension operational analysis. And the last thing, I'm also happy about line 5 providing service from Monterey Transit Plaza to Carmel Rancho Shopping Center, which is perfect. The only thing I just want to make sure to understand one thing is where lines 1 and 2 will end at in Pacific Grove from Monterey Transit Plaza. And that's the only thing I want to understand on. That's all, even when the Better Bus Network gets effective on December 10th. So that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. And your question was noted, and we'll make sure that we get that to you where that bus line 1 and 2 will end on Pacific Grove.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I don't see any. Let me one more time, just members of our public that want to comment on the presentation. So I don't see any at this time.
One last thing.
Yeah, so Mr. Wilmot, you made your comments already.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. So let me so at this point, then I would like to, there's a member of a public?
Yes, we have some here in the room.
Okay. So we'll take it to the chambers now, and those that are joining us, if you can please come up to the podium.
I recognize, Madam Chair. Can I go? Okay.
Yeah.
Good morning, MST board, staff, and members of the public. My name is David Ledesma, and I'm a fourth-year global studies major at California State University, Monterey Bay. I serve as the president of the Associated Students for the duration of the 2022-2023 academic year. I don't represent CSUMB proper, but I do represent its 6,550 students as the elected voice and face of the student body. It is in the interest of my students why I am here today. MST will very soon suspend Route 25 due to staffing and cut Line 16 from CSUMB's campus due to the Better Bus Network. Such an act would make travel within the region inaccessible for many of our students who rely on these routes as a primary or secondary mode of transportation. It would decrease the student body's ability to serve as an economic catalyst in the region. When word spreads across the student body, I can easily expect concern, disappointment, and frustration, which may materialize as collective action. The students of CSUMB are not a force to be reckoned with. They are dedicated to the causes they support until a decision favorable to them has been adopted. The board has time to prevent this so long as it realigns its values to better serve its constituents and the public. I urge the board to reconsider these decisions regarding Route 25 and 16 so as to ensure a beneficial situation for all parties involved. And I additionally urge the board to engage in better consultation with CSUMB and other higher education partners within the region. I hope to hear back from this body via email at aspresident@csumb.edu. I thank the board for its time.
Thank you, Mr. Ledesma, for those comments. And I just do, so do we have any other comments on the board in the chambers? No, thank you. And I just want to make a statement just on that. I know that obviously over the past 2 years, as I said, this board has been engaged in getting feedback, going out into our communities, working with our partners to make sure that the Better Bus Network was something that we could move forward in a comfortable manner to be able to provide those services for those individuals that needed public transit. And obviously, you know, we've been talking about the importance to our students, getting them to education. So that is something that this board is committed to, and something that we have taken that in mind, having the partnership with our colleges and as well as with CSUMB to be able to make sure that our students have access to public transit in a meaningful way, in an accessible way as well. So your points taken into regards to Route 25 and 16, and those will be taken into, your comments will be taken into consideration.
I might have a comment, certainly. And I just like to say, you know, we are meeting, our HR staff has been doing nothing but hiring drivers for really the past 18 months in preparation of this. And you know, this is not an issue that is, as far as driver shortages, that is unique to Monterey. It's not unique to the state of California. It's not unique to the United States. Nationwide, there is a shortage of people who are willing to operate buses, and it's not necessarily a matter of wages. It's just really a matter of people who are interested in doing this type of work. And it's a difficult job, no doubt about it. But I do have a commitment, and we are working with our contractor MV to get people in place, and the January 23rd deadline we are very aware of. We are extending the Line 25 service through December 18th, even though the Better Bus Network goes into effect December 10th. We are continuing that service through December 18th to coincide with the end of the semester. And then we would be on hiatus regardless until January 23rd when the new semester starts, and we are working with MV to see if we can get enough new drivers in place to make that happen. I cannot guarantee that. I'm not going to say that we have that because I don't want to promise something we may not deliver on. I would say, though, the previous speaker, the equity officer from CSUMB, was correct. Services will be available. It'll take longer while Line 25 is in hiatus. However, there will be more due to the higher frequencies of the Line 20, and say someone traveling from Alisal or from North Salinas. I've used this trip planner myself. Because of those higher frequencies, there will be the delays won't be as great. Maybe 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, and there'll be more opportunities actually to make those transfers. From the other speakers that I heard from, services from CSUMB to places like Walmart and Monterey, there will still be transit options, and actually quicker transit options to places like Walmart, to places like downtown Monterey, where students may want to go. And trips between Salinas and Carmel. I would encourage you to play with the trip planner online, because as the speakers were speaking, I was looking, and there are travel options. I will say that our trip planner is very nuanced. You need to get the time in there exactly right. So, you know, it might not show a trip arriving at 8 a.m. because it shows up at 8:05 a.m. So play around with your arrival times and your departure times on the Better Bus Network trip planner. And we'll see if we can work with our consultants to fix that particular nuance, because if you're not very specific with the time, you might get a different result than you expect. So just just those were the comments that I have from the comments that we had, and I would just encourage folks to use that trip planner carefully. And you may find out it's not as bad as first glance. Thanks.
Thank you, Carl, for those comments. And yeah, I would agree if we can look at how we can fix a specific timing so that way people can see what is actually available if they don't put in a specific time. But thank you for that. Okay, so I have one more comment on here in the chambers, and then I will take it out to, I will bring it back to our board of directors.
Good morning. MST board, your chair, Sloan Campy, Transportation Programs Manager for CSU Monterey Bay. I wanted to be present here today. And we wanted, Carl, thank you for your comments there, and to the rest of your board, thank you for the comments. Obviously, it's a deep concern that our campus community has about losing some service there, but we are generally in support of the Better Bus Network as a whole, as it will create. I've spoken to this board before about that, as it will create more options for the region as a whole, and thereby, because we are in the region, we will see some better options as well. I just want to also say that you know, our department in transportation at CSU Monterey Bay is committed to working with you through the partnerships that we currently have already, and any other mechanisms that we can collaboratively come up with. I just wanted to renew that commitment, and we are appreciative of the efforts that are being taken. So thank you very much, and that is all.
Thank you so much, Sloan, for
Please
those
promote
comments.
MST drivers as a part-time, or as an opportunity for your part-time students to work full-time.
Absolutely, and as Carl mentioned, this is something that we're seeing, the driver shortage is at the national level, and we've been hearing that at all of the conferences that we've been attending, that this is an issue for all of our public transit agencies, and being able to really bring more of the drivers to provide the services is imperative. So at this point, let me bring it back to the board for comments on the presentation. And then we'll do just a final call out for any other comments. But let me bring it back to the board and any of the directors that are joining us here in the chambers, and then I'll take it out to the directors that are joining us via Zoom. Any comments or questions? Okay, Director Gagliotti.
Yeah. So I really appreciate the app. The app is awesome. My boy uses the bus to go from Carmel to Pacific Grove, and then Pacific Grove to Delray Oaks, and then back because he works in Pacific Grove. And I just put in what his times are, and it came up. He's on the nothing's really going to change for him, which is a good thing for him because change is a difficult thing. So that was awesome. I appreciate that very much. And then on the comments of the bus shortages, I've said before that anywhere I go, I always ride other public transit systems, and I was just in Portland for the week, and every banner in the ads inside in the bus, the train, and in the streetcar are all looking for drivers, operators. So it is not a unique thing for us, and it is ubiquitous, I think, in all transit. So I'm just my own empirical experiences in that's true.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. We've been hearing it at all the conferences that we've been attending. That's been an issue for all of our public transit entities. So thank you. And so happy to hear that your son's schedule is not going to change.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, that was very good. Yeah.
Okay, so any other comments? Okay, so I will take it out to our board and comments, and board members, I'll ask if we can just please make the comments brief, 2 minutes. I 11:38, and we still have some other items that we need to discuss on the agenda. I want to be respectful of everyone's time as well. So any comments from our board of directors?
Madam Chair, Tony Barrera.
Go ahead, Director Barrera.
Mr. Sidoric, I appreciate your comments, and I think one of the critical points is how to be able to disseminate information to everyone concerned, because even though we can say the state has a problem, when a student wants to get to school, they're interested in their situation versus what's happening elsewhere. And I do appreciate that you are keeping in contact with them, because we have been discussing these critical issues for quite some time. But I hope that we can continue the dialogue with them and see how we can make things better. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Barrera. Dialogue with CSUMB has been initiated and will continue until we find a better resolution.
I have a comment.
Director Emilio, go ahead.
Thank you. Appreciate the comments made by the public, but however, I want to be sure to compliment Michelle and the staff for an excellent presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Emilio, for that. Any other board members? Okay, well, thank you so much, Michelle. I also want to make sure that I acknowledge all the hard work and staff has done on this Better Bus Network. It's not easy, and I acknowledge all the comments that are before us today. As was mentioned earlier, I mean, this has been a 2-year process for us as a board, trying to, really look at the systems that we have now before you as part of the Better Bus Network and making sure that it worked for everyone. Obviously, we know that there's going to be some challenges, and we'll work through those. Obviously, our goal is to make sure that we're providing the public transit that's needed, the efficiency, and also, the frequencies that our community needs. So thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Carl, and thank you for your team as well. Okay, so we'll move on at this time. We'll move on to our next item on our agenda. And this time we'll bypass 5. Thank you, Michelle. We have no public hearings. We have no action items today. So we'll move on to item 7. We have reports and information items. And these are all in our packet. And I will just General Manager CEO report, which is on page 59. There's any comments for Carl? We also have our federal legislative advocacy report, which is on page 95. If there's any comments or questions on that. We also have our state legislative advocacy update, which is on page 97. And just there's any comments on those. And then we have the staff trip reports also, page 101 to 105, and then other correspondence. Okay, any comments? So we'll move on to our next item, our agenda, which is board reports, comments, and referrals. And we'll start with 8-1, reports on meetings attended by board members on MST expense. And I will share, I know that I did attend on July 30th to August 2nd, the Salt Lake City, Utah. This was the APTA Transit Board members and Transit Board administrators. I apologize, I sent in my report today to Jeanette, but I'll do a really quick verbal report. This was, again, very informational for me. It was a really great opportunity to understand and learn more about public transit at the national level. One of the items that we heard, and it was really highlighted during the conference, was making sure that we're sharing our story as a public transit, who is the face of our community. And obviously it was nice to be able to hear some of those stories today, but making sure that we're really highlighting that as well. And conducting customer satisfaction surveys, as our team has, MST obviously does that very well. Education and workforce development, equity and economic development opportunities were some of the workshops that I attended. Encourage board members to ride the bus quarterly or to better understand the operations of the bus drivers and rider experience. So I'm really excited that this board, many members of our board do drive the bus and do understand some of those issues. And they talked about partnerships, different types of partnerships with our faith community and healthcare, and how do we really make sure that we're working with them. And then we're reporting the value of transit out to our community, and we're constantly communicating that, as well as some of the other things that emerged was housing and transit and reinvestment zones. Obviously, we don't have a lot of property as many of our other transit partners do, but that is something that's being looked at the national level to address the housing issue that we're seeing as well. So the conference provided sessions focused on board members and opportunities to measure transit's value and community impact for our communities. And I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to be able to attend. And for me, it's just been beneficial to be able to learn more of the nuances of public transit. So that's my report for that trip. Okay, then we'll go on to board member comments and announcements. Do we have any board member comments and announcements at this time? So I have, okay, do I see? Okay, I do see Director Martinez, your hand is up. If you can unmute, please.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I just had a quick comment. It's more regarding to staff. I wanted to know, Carl, if we would be able to, we as meaning Board of Directors, get bus passes to help take seniors and the youth out to different trips regarding MST. I know that our biggest thing right now is the ridership, and we do want to promote it. And I had actually an event that I had to cancel last minute a couple of months ago, but it's going to start up again next month. And I do want to know if there's any bus fares available for the youth to take them out on a bus trip, just so they could learn basically how to use our local transportation system that we have. So just as a FYI.
Yeah, we'll have our mobility staff get back with you. We actually have staff who are called that are mobility trainers, and then we also have volunteers that are called navigators that do that very thing, mobility training. And we can work with you. We'll have Christy Sagabo on our staff if you're on. I see your supervisor is here, so we'll make sure that they reach out and make contact with you on your events and your what your items are, and we can maybe work that into a mobility training, a mobile mobility training workshop of some sort.
Thank you,
Martinez, for that comment. Okay, any other board member comments or announcements? Okay, so I do have a comment, and I just want to make sure. I know that we have 2 established committees as part of our board, and just wanting to make sure that you know, our directors are attending those committees that we've been assigned to. And if you are not able to attend, please make sure that you ask your alternate to be present. I know we had just, you know, 1 board member attend the committee today, and we want to make sure that we have a robust discussion with our board members, as well as I know staff prepares the presentations and legislative updates, and we want to make sure that we have the opportunity, you have the opportunity as directors to be able to hear that information as well as part of those committees. So those are just my comments. Please make sure if you're not able to attend that you're assigning your alternate to be able to be here. And I will turn it over to
yeah, just one announcement. Some of our board members, the board chair and vice chair, as well as a number of staff, will be attending our California Transit Association in beautiful downtown Ontario, California, this week. And I'm sorry, I just had to, I stumped myself there. But at the meeting Thursday morning, MST learned after the publishing of this agenda that we will be receiving the state's Transit Innovation Award for our contactless payment program. And so that's a great, we've been recognized by our peers statewide for implementing this program. And there have been a number of other transit operators who are now following our lead. And if you'll indulge me, we have a 2-minute video that was produced by the BBC, yes, that BBC, about this program that has been shown at conferences now in London, in LA, in Austin, and San Francisco, and next week, the big time in Ontario, California, featuring one of our coach operators, Albert Garcia, who I'm now going to call the International Man of Mobility. So if we can, Scott, could you please, if it's the chair, okay with the chair, 2-minute video? Thank you. Scott, we'll let her go.
Sí, es mejor. Me conviene el autobús.
For now, yes, the bus is my main transportation, besides my bike.
I just left my house to catch the bus, and I have been doing this for about a year.
We're a public service. We're a public benefit. We are here
to make lives better, easier, and improve the quality of life, particularly for lower income people.
My name is Albert Garcia. I'm a coach operator. It's interesting for us because we cover such a large area in the state. We drive through a lot of different communities. Public transit is huge because cars are expensive. You can have a car, but can you maintain it? Can you afford the gas? For us in the community, you know, especially La Raza, to have access to the buses is huge. It's the only way we have to get around.
The rule within the real estate markets is you drive until you qualify.
Yo trabajo en diferentes ciudades y vivo en diferentes ciudades.
Born and raised in Salinas, and I live in Pacific Grove and work here in Monterey.
So lower income people are encouraged to live farther and further away from city cores where the jobs may be.
What I like about the bus is it comes up real early in the morning, and then it's maybe like till 9 or 10 at night. So if I get off of work, or I need to go in to work early, the bus is always there for me.
We are trying to provide a safer, more hygienic, faster, more reliable journey for our passengers.
When I first started, we transitioned to just a simple fare box. We had that old style fare box. You would drop the money into it, and then you would hear these big grinding, the gears rolling, you know, and it would count the money, and then you could hear it clinking and falling down.
Transit makes it difficult for its passengers to pay. And this has been a common in our industry for the better part of a century, and all these closed loop systems that are only good for one transaction for one service area. Finding alternatives to currency and coin is safer, it's friendlier, it provides for opportunity to provide better, faster service because it aids the boarding process.
A lot of our riders continue to use cash because they don't have access. It all comes back to access and economics. If they're immigrants, no green card, no citizenship, no bank account. So riders, they'll buy a prepaid card.
We are seen in our community as a service that is trying to offer new technologies through Cash App and these other tools. This technology provides financial tools to members of the community that were formerly left out of the financial market. Moving towards a better solution that allows a person to use the same card that they use to make other purchases, whether it's a cup of coffee or lunch, use that same tool to ride the bus. It's proven technology. Visa was able to connect us with the hardware, the software providers, the banking services, and the consultants we needed to make this happen.
We are a billboard that comes through your neighborhood in each direction, saying, hey, you're not alone.
I find it tremendously satisfying knowing that I'm making contributions that I can see daily on the street, impacting people in my own community, people I know, members of my own family.
It's about people, it's about relationships. It's not really about what I do, you know. I just drive.
Thank you, Carl. I want to clap after that.
That is the definition of a smattering of applause. If you're to look that up, that's smattering of applause. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Carl, and thank you to all the team. I think, you know, they said it well, right? It's about people. What we do here, it's about people. And I think for me, you know, thank you to MST for being that leader in innovation and also for breaking down the barriers. Sometimes some simple things that we don't think about are really barriers to our communities, and being able to look at that and break down those barriers and make a life, the quality of life better for our residents, especially those low-income residents that we serve. This is why I'm here. I think this is why we're here. So thank you.
And like Michelle had mentioned, this is another one of those cross-cutting projects that impacted, you know, every member of the team, from accounting to marketing to operations to maintenance to IT. everyone was touched by this project, and it's great to see everyone come together and make it happen.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. Okay, so we'll move on to our next item, before we go into closed session, A3, which is board member referrals for future agendas. Does anyone have referrals? Okay, Director Burnett? Director Burnett, you had your hand up?
Yes, I did. I just wanted to, in light of the video, and I'm not remembering if there is an at-large member of our board. I would like to seriously consider that either a student or some representative of underrepresented communities be added as a board member. It seems like the opportunity to contribute and to comment on issues that are related to daily activities is absent in our board. And unless we do a robust outreach, we won't get their comment. So it would be, I think, informational if there was some student, some homeless, some, disadvantaged, some representatives on our board. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Director Burnett, for that. We'll look at we'll look at that, explore that to see how we can make that happen. Thank you. And then
Just for staff.
okay, for staff. Okay, great, thank you. Okay, so at this time, then we will move into our closed session item, and then we'll come back for final adjournment. We have 2 items on closed session today. Item 9-1, review general manager CEO performance evaluation. Conference with labor negotiators, agency designated representatives, and conference with labor negotiators, which is our second item, government code section 54957.6, MSTA and MST. And we will adjourn to our closed session, and then we will come back. So we go,
Yeah, we'll go over. Okay, I won't be in there.
Well, no.
Oh, for the.
I can see lots of ways to shamelessly tie that to a position that I'm trying to fill.
I have no idea during the meeting.
Sure, what are we trying? It won't come on. You're right, that's a little sucker is. Yeah, it sounds silly, but this gets cut still shoveled all weekend. Oh, and I'm feeling it. Let me see if I can find something that I can slide into there.
Do you have something sticky in there?
Oh, hey. Can't share screen in there. Somebody's trying to share screen.
Michael.
They tell me that ahead of time.
Here, let's try this. back. Well, necessity is the mother of. Thank you. You're very welcome. Oh, how's it going? You still want, well, you're not gonna get it. I have a copy of the actual pattern.
Hey, Michael.
Because.
Mike Laredo.
I'll see if I can dig it up. I know I have it. The original works actually sent me the original pattern and everything. Well, there you go. I might be able to do that. I'll see. It's in a. Just like this.
Pre-March. Pre-March, okay, or actually March, you know, we. Oh, God, no. Yeah. So, we had to do it, we did. Yeah, I was here. It's supposed to. Yeah, because it's like, you know, oh, it's probably from in there.
Safe travel, Carl. What's that? Safe travel. Thanks. Mhm.
Taking the to the airport back.
What do you mean? I'm not even involved in that. That's not me. I'm driving myself. Yeah, so everyone's asking you about that. And I'm not on that. I'm driving.
Okay.
No, okay.
That's
Figure it out.
You feel like I don't want to think about it.
Okay. All right. What am I? Thought I was gonna ask.
Yeah, and I've had a meeting at 12:30. Okay, are we ready? Everybody back? No, John had to leave. Yeah. Yeah.
Got your resolution. I thought.
Okay, perfect. So we are convening now from our closed session and we have report out items on 9-1 and I will turn that over to our MST General Counsel, Michael Laredo.
Yes, thank you, Chair. The board did meet on 2 items in closed session regarding the first closed session item, 9-1, review general manager CEO performance evaluation, met under Government Code Section 54957. The board did have a discussion and provided general direction. This matter will be coming back for an open session discussion at a future meeting. Regarding item 9-2, conference with labor negotiators regarding MSTEA and MST. They met under Government Code Section 54957.6. The board did provide general direction regarding negotiating wage, and this will come back at a future board meeting. And that concludes my report at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. So we'll move on to our next item, which is our detailed monthly performance statistics and disbursement journals. So if you have any questions on that, please feel free to reach out to staff. And at this time, if there's no further item of business, and the meeting is adjourned at 12:27. Thank you, everyone. Have a happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
If I don't see you.